Good morning, Rev Walter here. Today is Monday, the 4th of December. Can you believe that? 2023 is gone just like that. Hey. That's why it's so important, my friends, to ensure that at any given time, when it comes to your life and your purpose and your destiny and all these things, you want to make sure you're plugged in at all times. You want to make sure you're purpose driven, because if you are not purpose driven, it's very easy to wake up one day with gray hairs popping out of your ears and your nose. That's if you're a man, and no accomplishment whatsoever. So you need to make sure you're very deliberate. And to be deliberate means you've got to be very self-aware. That's one of the big things that I always talk about. This high sense of self-awareness. I'm not talking about just sentience, that I am me and I'm here. No, but I'm talking about a high level, vibration of being aware of yourself and of your purpose, because that's the biggest, most critical thing you can ever have. Even as we get to the end of the year, you have to quiz yourself. You have to ask yourself, why am I here? What am I here to accomplish? What am I supposed to achieve? Last week I was at a conference and I was so blessed by one statement that was made by Apostle Sitima. Apostle Sitima said, and that will become part of my sayings now. He said, there is a difference between being successful and being significant. I was like, I want to hear that. So success is when you achieve what matters to you. That's success. But significance is when others are able to be impacted and achieve something because of you. Are you seeing the difference? So here we're talking about a scenario where your life begins to be an impact. It begins to make an impact and a difference in the lives of other people. And really, when you think about it, that's pretty much what God called us for. God called you and I to be of significance. In other words, to make an impact, to be a true witness. That's what being a witness is. A lot of people don't understand when the Bible talks about being a witness. They think it's about going around telling people, I'm a Christian, you need to get saved. That's being an evangelist. That's going around letting people know about the kingdom of God. But being a witness is living the life so that your life becomes a witness, a testimony to others, and your life then makes an impact for others. And many times this is achieved when we get into true sense of service, when we get to understand why we're put on earth. And in the words of another great man who's been such an influence in my life, Professor Mubaiwa, he said, and I quote, when you can clearly define your why and your what, the how will take care of itself. I'll say that again. When you can clearly define your why and your what, so why are you here? What is it that you're here to do? When you can define these two well and begin relentlessly pursuing those two, the how will work itself out. And what I find profound is not just how will work itself out, even the resources to accomplish the how will also show up spontaneously. And I mean that. When we talk about the fact that the steps of the righteous man are ordered of God, and when we talk about the fact that God is Jehovah Jireh, our provider, I mean that Jehovah Jireh provision component kicks in when you and I have a full understanding of our purpose and we begin to live purpose-driven lives. In other words, you are bang smack in the will of God and you're doing what it takes to be of significance, meaning you are of service to your community in such a way that your community are able to feel you. Your community are able to be impacted by your life. Your community are able to actually see something significant happen to them because of your presence. I tell you that for me is profound. We know this is true, for example, when it comes to our children and their lives of those children, because we are significant in their life. That's why They draw, everything about themselves. Their very sustenance comes from us because we are making an impact in their lives. And the irony of this is that if we do not do the right thing, that impact will be negative. But if we do the right thing, that impact will be positive. But that's what impact is, ladies and gentlemen. It's the ability to, through your life and your service, be of impact. So even as we talk about the end of the year, this is the big thing to ask yourself. What are you doing to be of significance in the lives of those you were placed to serve? So that's very, very important. A lot of people don't understand that. They think that life is just about go, work hard, make money, pay bills, chill over the weekend, live for a Friday. I think one good colleague of mine once said that if your life is about living for the weekend, then yours is the most pitiful life. I'll say that again. If your life is about living for weekends and living for holidays and living for, what are they called, vacations, then yours is a pitied life. Because then you have no impact in the world. And I assure you, the day you exit this world, the only people that will remain remembering you and always appreciating you will be your family. But everybody else will soon forget about you. Because what impact did you make? What lasting legacy did you leave in the lives of the people around you and your community? And so this event we run Monday to Friday, the 7:30 Mentorship Academy call, is designed purposefully to be of impact in society. And so we don't charge for this. We do this out of the volition of our hearts because we believe with all our hearts that whatever we're doing here is a mission from God himself. And the function of this mission is to see to it that all the things that we do are going to have an impact and a mark in the lives of those that we know. So for me, that's a very, very big deal when it comes to what we do with these 7:30 calls. So we have them every day. From Monday, it's yours truly. I come through and do that. On Monday with Unleashing Your Destiny. On Tuesday, we have Coach Sunshine Sylvia, Dr. Sylvia Monta. She does her Mindset Change program. On Wednesdays, it's an open market day where we have open market. So anybody really can come through. And as soon as they come through, you can be able to actually advertise your services on that platform on Wednesday. Then on Thursdays is Dr. Nelly with Prosperity for Your Soul, and then on Friday, Dr. Jackie with Healthy Tips. Now we do this every Monday to Friday, any working day except for holidays. So we are still running strong, and we've been doing this for 3 years plus. We'll be soon hitting 4 years in April next year. We'll get to 4 years. So I'm very proud of that record. And one of the things we want to do is we want to celebrate this achievement. For us, this is a profound achievement to be able to run nonstop for 3.5 years. So one of the things we want to do now is we want to ask if any of you would want to join us for our celebration. We will be celebrating this in an event that we're putting together, and that event is going to be taking place. We're still kind of in the rafters discussing that. It's supposed to be on the 8th. The event is on the 8th, and that scroll you see at the bottom has the details. But I am also going to post on my various pages the information which you can be able to click on. We actually have a link, and when you go on that link, you should be able to register without any problem. So that's going to be posted as this meeting is going on, and those of you that are interested can be able to be a part of it. So this particular event is happening on the 8th, and it's going to be costing 500 kwacha. I will put the details very, very soon. I don't know why my computer is doing its thing. So anyway, so these are the things that we're doing. So today we are tackling the subject of communication, and I will be sinking my teeth deeply into that particular topic and helping you through to navigate through the whole concept of communication. Remember, we've been dealing with the series 11 critical skills to master today for career advancement, for what we call an advancement hack, like learning how to take full advantage of what you carry and being able to use that to your benefit. So today is another day where we're dealing with the subject of communication. So I've now got the page open, so I'm just about to post the details on all 3 platforms for this event that we're having over the weekend. So make sure you're a part of it. I will post as we go throughout as I'm training, as I'm coaching. You will see me post the details very soon, and you should be able to access those details and use them. So I'll post them on Facebook, I will post them on LinkedIn, and I'll also post them on YouTube. So go there and you should be able to see everything there, and you should be able to benefit. I can see already Elizabeth Eden Doku is already actively posting there, and so I will try and see how I can have it posted there. I'm trying to see, technology can be so funny, so I'm trying to look for where's my place for comments, and I'm not seeing the comment space, so I may have to post in the live chat. I hope it will work. Let's see if this works. The live chat should be able to give you the option to click on the link. If that link doesn't show, then obviously it means I have to try again. But nonetheless, here we are. So let's go into communication. So let's jump into the subject of effective communication. And once again, I have learned powerfully that when we learn to be good communicators, communication can be the difference between making progress and being significantly observed and not being observed. So let's look at 10 major tips for communication mastery. So that's what we're sinking our teeth into. 10 major tips for communication mastery. Number 1, active listening. So this is the idea of paying full attention to speakers, okay? Avoid interrupting and listen without forming your response in mind. This is a very common mistake many people make in that space. They listen to respond, they listen to argue back, they don't listen to understand. And we see this much, of course, on social media, but we know that even in relationships, a lot of people suffer from this problem. I suffered from it as well, but I have tried to learn to be an empathetic listener, okay? That's a very powerful skill. I learned this mainly from neuro-linguistic programming, neuro-leadership, and neuro-safety training. Very, very high advanced behavioral and cultural performance science. It's a very, very advanced science. I'm so humbled to be knowledgeable of this stuff. I've learned it through various interventions. I'm not going to go into the details, but the point is, in active listening, you learn to really listen. So what does that mean? You clarify and paraphrase to ensure you understand what a person is saying. So learning the art of asking open questions is very profound. What is an open question? Let me give you an example of an open question. Somebody says, so things have been really rough for me, and it's been so challenging, and I really don't know how I'm going to survive. So an open question would be like, oh, really? Maybe you can tell me more about what that challenging has been like. See, that's an open question. So then they'll start to explain. As they explain, you wait for key phrases, which when you pick up, so somebody will tell you, I really feel helpless and I feel terrible. So when they make a statement like that, then an open question will be like, what? How does this make you feel helpless exactly? You see, that's an open question. And then you could actually start even learning how to ask what we call leading positive questions. So a leading negative question would be like this. So same situation, no, I feel helpless. So let's imagine somebody has a situation where they've been cheated on, and oh no, I feel so betrayed. So you ask them, how do you feel betrayed? Oh no, they did this to me. We're supposed to be faithful to one another. And then from there, you go on and say, now here's the leading negative question. You could say, Ish, don't you think that's a terrible thing? Or don't you think that's embarrassing you? You see, those are leading negative questions. Now here's a leading positive question. Same scenario. You say, what do you think could be the reason for this behavior from him or her? Now that's a very interesting question, because you see, now there I am not being negative, I am just probing. Now active listening is quite a skill. You need to learn it, you need to understand it, but it's powerful. If you can learn to include asking open-ended questions designed to get more out of those speaking, you will be amazed how many people really feel like they've spoken to someone. Because what you're doing, and it's a bit of a skill, but if you do it correctly, you actually get people to give you their own answers. They already have the answer. And so the key is just learning to listen as opposed to just barking orders or barking your position. Really learning to listen to people. The Bible doesn't say this, but there's a saying that God gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth so that we can listen twice as much as we should speak. So active listening, it's a very powerful skill, ladies and gentlemen. If you can learn this and master it, you will be at dawn when it comes to communication. And it's a very powerful way of operating. I personally think it's profound. And if anybody can learn this skill of active listening, you will be deemed a very understanding person. I've done it myself in many instances, and I've been so blessed by it. And I've seen that many find me very approachable because I've learned to do this. I can jump into a Yango. Right now I've been doing a lot of Yangos. We just got rid of our other car, so we're getting a new one, so I don't have it here yet. And so I've been doing a lot of Yangos. And many times when I jump into Yangos, that's what I do. I just do open-ended questions, and you'll be amazed what people tell you. And I find it so profound because I can learn so much about people by that. And as they speak, I'm listening. And then, of course, the name of the person is on my app, so I can easily refer to them by name. So if his name is, for argument's sake, of Bright, I can easily say, so Bright, that's amazing. Why did you decide to start doing that? You know, whatever they just told me. And that, again, can bring more out of them. And just keep listening for those key phrases and then just regurgitate those back to them. The only time when I'd speak more is if I sense very strongly, as a man who's led by the Spirit of God, if I sense strongly I need to give this man a message or this woman a message. So far, I've never found a woman use the Yango with a woman where I felt compelled to speak to them. I don't know why, but I just didn't feel them. So if I don't feel someone, I don't talk much. But it's amazing when you get that vibe, then you can bring in this active listening. I'm really pushing on this concept because I want you guys to understand how powerful this is when working with teams, when working with individuals, when working with different people, how you can leverage this for the purposes of creating a more likable personality. And I know that likability is an asset when it comes to those of us who do what we do. When you are likable, it's more likely that people will remember you, and it's more likely that people will refer to you. It is also more likely that people will talk and speak about you in places where you're not. They will be your advocates. They will be your ambassadors when you're not there, simply because of your likable personality. So likability is a massive asset for successful people. And one key to being likable is being a good communicator in the realm of active listening. Okay? So that's very profound. Number 2, clarity and conciseness. That's the second one. Clarity and conciseness. So what does that mean? Number 1, learn to clearly articulate your message. This is something a lot of people also fail. They know what they want to say, but they don't know how to say it. There's a saying, actually, which goes, it's not what you say, it's how you say it. So you could be saying the same thing, but how you say it ends up either being received or rejected. So it's very important to be clearly articulate about your things. This is where, for example, ambiguity can be avoided by using not just concise language, but learning to determine where to discuss what items. So the idea of learning where to have particular conversations is also very critical, because a lot of people make the mistake of texting what they should speak or speaking what they should text. But for me, texting can have its massive negatives. And one of the biggest negatives of texting, I mean, we live in an era where texting is very common now. But one of the challenges with texting is that you can't see the body language. Did you know communication is not just verbal, but it's also non-verbal communication. And in non-verbal communication, there are so many cues. And the amazing thing about non-verbal communication is it's picked by the subconscious mind. That's why you can meet certain people and just feel uneasy about them. They may not say anything, but their non-verbal language will speak to you. The facial expression, the posture of the body, the posture of where the hands and legs are, the posture they're standing with, all these things are communicating to you continuously at a subconscious level. And so People who are trained in neuro leadership have learned that one of the most powerful ways of becoming connected to people is to mirror them. Now, we normally do this subconsciously without knowledge, but those of us who've learned to and know, we do mirroring very powerfully. As a salesperson, it's profound. It really gets the people to feel at ease with you. They feel connected with you because you're mirroring them in terms of your posture. It's matching their posture. But what's more important is that you learn also where you need to speak verbally in person, not through a phone and not through text. Because in person to person, one-to-one communication, many times you're able to pick the non-verbal, communications, the non-verbal cues, and that's why it's not everything you should be texting. Texting can be very, very misunderstood because they can't hear the tone of your voice, they can't see your expressions, and so sometimes even an innocent statement when texted can be very negative, and it can cause a lot of negative vibes. So it's very important that this idea of being concise and avoiding ambiguity is emphasized, because if it's not emphasized, it can make a massive difference. Do you know that even a comma alone can be the difference between life and death? I mean, there's a joke I've seen which states, and I quote, it says, "Crocodiles do not swim here." No comma, right? Crocodiles do not swim here. That means there are no crocodiles. That's what it could mean. But if you put crocodiles, comma, do not swim here, then all of a sudden that statement has changed. What it means is there are crocodiles in the ocean. Oh, sorry, crocodiles in the ocean. There are crocodiles in the lake. There are crocodiles in the river. Do not swim there because you risk being eaten by one. So that's what the difference of the comma can be. Now imagine that in text form. You see what I'm saying? So sometimes in texting, we can inadvertently communicate what we're not saying and then get into a verbal tirade where you say, "What do you mean?" And now it becomes a huge, huge issue. And you fail to communicate well because now you have this massive argument. Massive argument. So if you had just told them physically, it would have made a difference. So sometimes picking up a phone and calling directly can help to do it better. But for me, there are certain messages which you shouldn't even be talking on the phone. You should just meet face to face and talk them through. So learning to know which one is important. So clarity and conciseness. And by the way, for those of you who work in communication space, or those who work in corporations and organizations, do not use jargon unless you're speaking to your tribe. I'll say that again. Do not use jargon unless you're speaking to your tribe. What does that mean? That means very simply that every tribe, every community, every society, every group has its jargon. It has its language that suits them. So if you use that language, it is understood by those you're talking to because you're in the same tribe. So for example, me who's in the digital space, I can say things like, "Oh, by the way, have you got your SEO set up on your website?" Now, anybody who's in my space would know exactly what I'm talking about. The search and SEO, which is search engine optimization. Is my website search engine optimized or not? So I can use such a term and they would understand me. If I said in the same space I'm in, if I said, "Oh, no, you need to make sure that you create a hub so that all your socials are kind of pointing into that one hub, which is your website, and ensure you have some forms in there, and then ensure also that you have some call to actions or CTAs." Now, you see, that's language which I understand because it's my space. But if I'm speaking to somebody in another space, I'm already talking jargon. They don't even know what I'm saying. Let me give you another example of this ambiguity in jargon. If I'm for example, I'm a typical charismatic evangelical born again tongue speaking Christian. So we have our language, also we have our jargon. So, oh, hallelujah, glory to God. I mean, that was the anointing. Did you feel the presence? Oh, there was such a thick atmosphere. His presence was everywhere. And I was so moved by what the Lord is doing. And I mean, actually, he whispered to me this morning. Now those are terms which are in our space, but I assure you, you take that into another circle and they are looking at you like, "What are you talking about? Atmosphere, his presence, whose presence? Was there a man there?" No, God, how? You see, so already you're being ambiguous and you're using jargon and it's not making sense because this is not your tribe. So in communication, you're going to make sure that the language that you use, the phrases that you use, are understood by your audience. That's very important, so that what you say computes to them. Otherwise, it's jargon and you lose them. All righty. So that's number 2. Number 3 is non-verbal communication. Now, I already kind of spoke about this, but let me now get into that a bit more. Be mindful of your body language, facial expressions, and gestures. A lot of people do not realize, for example, imagine somebody's talking to you and you have this expression. Imagine, just check me out. You're like this. So this person is wondering, are they constipated? or maybe they're not feeling me, or they're upset, so you start causing people to get a bit confused because of this expression on your face. Now, this is a very common mistake I see on a lot of people. A lot of people don't understand, especially those who are not very familiar with communication and its non-verbal cues. You find that they do have these kind of things where they'll be having wrong expressions, and then the people that they're communicating to are not understanding what's going on, and they end up losing the audience because the audience feels alienated from your message. So it's very important to be deliberate about your expressions. If you're going to smile or you're going to give a serious expression, like, for example, if somebody is telling you something very sad, you need to give an expression of concern, which would look like this. And you're nodding your head, meaning you are agreeing or you're listening. And many times you combine that with a oh my goodness, oh, that's most terrible. Oh, I pray things go well. You see? Now if you're just like, no expression, nothing, they get this feeling that you're very what's the word? You're very unsympathetic. You're very mean. You're a mean person. After telling you all those things, you couldn't even say sorry or even look concerned. You look, and this is where non-verbal communication also means, maintaining eye contact. Look at the person speaking to you. These days of phones, a lot of times somebody's talking to you, you're busy on your phone. You're busy on your phone. What that tells the person is that what you're saying is not important. Smart people learn to put the phone away and give 100% attention to the person speaking to them. That's a very powerful communication. I've seen people being greeted on the phone. They go, yeah, hello, and then they continue. That's, though it's not necessarily anything negative, but it's perceived as negative by the person, because it's like whatever you're saying is not of importance. It's like, you're wasting my time. I'm busy on the phone doing something. And by the way, this is also true in couples, in married couples. And that's why, if you're with your wife, husband, or whoever it is, children, learn to give them the attention necessary. Look at them, give eye contact, show them that you're actually listening. That's a profound thing to do. I work from home, and so many times one of my challenges, because I work from home, is that I have to deal with kids coming in and barging into my office and things like that. But I've learned that if I can give these children the attention they deserve, if I can focus on them fully for that particular moment, the impact that I'm making is significant. So non-verbal communication is very important. Maintaining eye contact is very, very important, and use open and inviting postures. So in other words, don't sit like this. So don't people up there. If I'm going to do that expression, it means that I'm already saying, I'm not listening, I'm upset. That's the non-verbal subliminal message being sent out there. So, but if you have what we call an inviting posture, it's one where your arms are open, almost in an inviting manner, and you're kind of laid back, and you're keeping eye contact, and you're nodding, to show that you're listening. And in our African culture, we even have the oh. So on the phone, I do that as well, so that people know I'm listening. Really? Wow. You're listening along. And you're showing that you're listening. They can hear that you're following if it's on the phone. If you're physically facing each other, they can hear, because you are affirming, you are agreeing, your head is nodding to show that you're listening. In other cultures, yes, it's like this, but it's very weird. But anyway, either way, whatever it is that signifies listening, and paying attention. That's what you want to make sure is being communicated as they speak to you. Now, I need to end this on the fourth one, then next week we'll pick it up with the rest. Looks like we might still be around for another week. So number 4, and I'll end with this one, is adaptability. Now, it's interesting that in communication, the term adaptability is one of the keys of communication. Very, very amazing, but it's true. You see, you must adapt your message to your audience. If you're addressing teenagers or you're addressing little kids, little, 9-10-year-old kids, or if you're addressing young adults or you're addressing professionals, every one of these groups will have a different thing going on with them. And so you want to make sure that your message is suited to the audience. This is so important. A lot of people will want to address little kids like they're addressing adults. That doesn't work. Other people want to address adults like they're addressing little kids. Or each group, you try and address them. That's why it's so important to be given an up. Like, for example, you have to go and speak like publicly. You'd want to get an idea, what kind of audience do I have? One of the things we normally do as public speakers is request to get into the room at least 30 minutes or 15 minutes before your time to speak. But the longer, the better. Because as you sit in that room and you listen to other speakers and you listen to other people bring in their points, it helps you to see and gauge the type of people you'll be addressing. And that in itself, and by the way, also taking it just to look at the audience, you say, oh, okay. So you make some adjustments immediately based on what you see. If you're addressed and told that I am addressing CEOs and COOs and high-level executive performance people, automatically my message will change. If I'm told, no, I'm addressing school leavers, my message will change. Or I'm addressing students, what kind of students? Medical students. Oh, my message will change. You see, you have to adapt your message. You have to tailor your communication to the audience because you want them to be able to understand what you're speaking about. You don't want a situation where you just go there and you just start speaking and then you realize very quickly later that, oops, I'm speaking to serious communication, to serious high-level people, and what I'm doing is complete jargon to them. Also, be aware of cultural differences in communication. This is very important. There are terms and words that you can use depending on the type of people you're addressing. This is very important for those who are in communication because certain certain things, certain words, certain phrases may be very offensive to your audience. So be very, very aware of what is culturally right. So those of you who have the opportunity of going to address international audiences, there is absolute wisdom in asking your hosts or whoever, to give you an idea of the kind of audience and to give you an idea of if what you're saying is going to be culturally okay or if it's not. Because again, even examples, you have to be very mindful of who you're addressing. So if you're going to address an ultra-conservative Muslim audience, you want to be careful with what you say there. Or if you're going to address a very liberal audience elsewhere, again, you've got to be very careful with what you say. So these are just important things that you mind. This is even more serious when you're dealing with workers in a given company. So what you say, what you do can be deemed deeply offensive. You can actually cause a mini riot in a place just because of using a phrase that you think is okay. Yes, it's okay where you come from, but where you are, that's a deeply offensive phrase. In fact, you could even risk being in serious trouble with the law if it turns out that what you say has offended people. So you've got to be very careful. You've got to be very mindful of the cultural complexities of where you are. Now, those of you who are just going to be in Zambia dealing with Zambians, you already know our culture. But I'm addressing this platform, and this platform has people coming from all over the world. We have people who are in different professions from the lowest to the highest. So you've got to be mindful. A lot of problems in companies, I can tell you this, right down to riots, are usually related around communication. Management has no idea. There's a disconnect between management and your blue-collar ground staff. And that's why they have these differences, which can lead to even work stoppages. So work stoppages happen because you have management that do not know how to communicate effectively with those that are down there. Remember, communication is not just you talking. It's all these things I'm saying. It's about a two-way bridge between You saying what you got to say and receiving what you're receiving. And let me finish with this. Adjust your approach based on the situation. So the situation will also dictate what kind of approach is effective. So some people think as long as I've just said, in Zambia we say, boss. No, it's not always like that. That kind of communication forces people into a position. I can tell you as an individual that works with human beings, it's not effective. It can work, yes, you can get them to do what you want, but you're never going to get the best out of them. Because what you're doing is using force and threats. Force and threats don't work. In effective communication, no. In effective communication, you want a win-win. Especially when you're talking about an organization with objectives to be achieved. You want a win-win. So the best way always is look for a method that's going to effectively get that kind of win-win going. It's different if you want to run a slave ship and you're going to use whips and force to get work done. Yes, that might work, but it's not going to be effective. And I think that's so important. That's why I keep saying that you've got to make sure that what you're doing is effective. And the only way it can be effective is if, I repeat, you are making sure that you are adjusting your approach according or based on the situation. That's critically important. If you do it that way, I guarantee you, you're going to see massive, massive success in terms of your work, in terms of what you're going to do with people. You will see things work powerfully to your advantage, and it will see you go through in terms of your success to bringing about performance. So I'm going to end there. And thank you all. And I know there are so many comments, but it was so loaded, I didn't even have a chance to, flash the comments on this presentation. So what we'll do instead is, obviously, I will come into the comments and comment. I've also posted the link for the 7:30 year-end party thing. Please go in there and just fill in so that we know that you want to be part of it. We're still debating the dates. We're supposed to have it on Friday, the 8th. But a number of people have told us that, oh, that date is too soon. Are you able to push it a bit forward so that we're part of it? So yes, I'll think we'll move it. I just have to discuss with Dr. Sunshine, Sylvia, so that we agree on which other date we can use to do it. And so we'll get back to you with that. But please, if you can, the link is already being shared, revwalter.com/events. That's the link, /. So revwalter.com/events. So // like that. So make sure you go in there and fill in your details. It's all there already. The prices are staggered there, but we're going to work on that and get back to you. We are saying that the main entry price is 500. Then we have, and that's for the super early bird, and then the early bird will be 550, and then the standard price will be 600, and then 800 at the door. So we're gonna change things, and we'll get back to you and tell you. So that those of you who want to lock in early on the 500 price, you're still open to do that. So when you go there, it'll show you that the 500 price has passed. It's now 550 because of the date, but we're telling you that it's okay. You can access it at 500. If you want to pay today the 500, go ahead right now and just click on that link, revwalter.com/events. revwalter.com/events, and it will take you to the page and you can do your thing just now. So we look forward to have you guys. We only have 100 spaces. We can't go beyond 100 because of the venue that we're picking. We're going to have a full-fledged African cuisine buffet, and you will hear from all four of us. It'll be very nice. Myself, and Sylvia, Dr. Nelly, and Dr. Jacqueline Mwanza. So we will be together from 13 to 18 on that day. So we have the lunch together, and then we have the event. It'll be very nice. Make sure you come so that we can also network. So many of you, we've been talking here on this platform, but we've never met. Please come through. Let's do it. And if you have friends, come with them too, and let's just meet and interact. And remember, it's a powerful networking opportunity as well. We have very high level people. We have different people from different walks of life that come on this call. Make sure you come and meet with them. Put a name, put a face to a name. Who's Shupi? Who's Healing Hub? Who's Transport? Who's who are all these people that always are commenting? Ellen and Lonely. Some of them are outside Zambia, so obviously you can't be here. But we'll really be glad to have you at our event. So the link again, revwalter.com/events. Make sure you get on that and put your details now. So from myself, thank you so much. Tomorrow, and Sylvia is back. I will try and post the link on the other platforms as well. I've been trying to do that all this time, and I have been stuck. But hey, well, LinkedIn, I see there's a Joshua there who is also following the event. So I hope he'll be able to see my post and be able to, to register on the link that I've shared. So on YouTube, I think I saw Edem Duku. I hope I can be able to have the details. And Uncle Lorian, I've seen him, is also on YouTube. So Zed Now is also on YouTube. So we'll see if we can get these comments on board and shared so that you are able to register. So thank you from myself, and I will see you tomorrow. We'll be back tomorrow with Coach Sunshine Sylvia as she comes through with another episode of Mindset Change Program. It's very likely we are going to move the date, and so which means these calls will continue until that date when we go on break, and we're back in February. Alrighty, so from myself, thank you. Have a great day. We'll pick it up with empathy on our next session. Bye-bye.